Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And today I've been participating in Podapalooza. I can barely say the word. And it is an amazing one-day conference where not only do you get trained on podcasting, but all of us wonderful podcasters get to do on-the-spot interviews. And today I'm so thankful. I've just met Katrina about a minute and a half ago, but Katrina Sawa is the CEO and founder of JumpStartYourBusinessNow.com. But as part of that company, she also does Jumpstart Publishing. So I'm excited. I get to talk to another publisher. So Katrina, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kim. It's exciting to be here.
So first of all, Katrina, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into all of this?
Well, what's funny, I don't know, I've never wanted to be an author. So like when I started my business, it was 20 years ago. I was a business and marketing coach for entrepreneurs because I was in advertising sales for the newspaper way back when. And that's where I fell in love with entrepreneurs, but they never knew what to do to really market themselves. And then they didn't know how to follow up and really nurture. I mean, usually entrepreneurs are passionate about what they're doing, but they don't know everything about being a consistent and profitable business. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I started doing business and marketing coaching. And I said, why do I want to sell a book when I can sell, for $20, when I can sell a $200, $2,000 or $20,000 thing? Like, why would I do that? And then like 3 or 4 years into my business, I was hanging around more entrepreneurs and they started writing books. And I'm like, and then getting speeches and getting on publicity and getting clients from their books. I'm like, oh, okay, now I see it. Now I see it. Use it as a marketing tool. Okay. Now that's the kind of books that I write, or marketing tool type books. Okay. I know some authors out there want to be authors and write fiction or nonfiction or whatever, and really want to be a prolific author. And that's awesome. So, but I recommend you still make money in other ways too. Like you create all kinds of other income streams. But yes, that's how I got started in writing books. And now, I started doing my own. And it was just much cheaper to learn how to do it myself than to pay a big publisher, which I did for my first book. But so then you create your own publishing brand, of course, if you're going to do a lot of books. And then now I do it for other people too, but not that many. I mean, I'm still a business coach primarily, but I love saving people money on doing their books.
Yeah, and you do a lot of the compilation books, so where people get to have a chapter in their book. And I do a few of those. So I kind of do the opposite. You do a lot more compilation books where I actually do the single signature book. So this person, my clients have full books written for them that again, it's a marketing tool, right? And I love how, becoming an author just so positions you as this credible expert.
It really does. I mean, I've been on TV because of my books. I've been on multiple times, like because of my book. I've gotten on stages and been a speaker and many, many times over because I've had a book on a certain topic, and it catapults you big time.
Yeah, I so agree. So, Katrina, I know you've got a lot of knowledge that you would like to share. So I'm going to let you loose for a few minutes. And just because you don't even really know who I am, so just share some of the things that you feel my audience of entrepreneurs, professionals, speakers, and coaches would find helpful in their business, either from the publishing side or from your business coaching side.
Yeah, well, the first thing is just move faster. Money follows speed, people. Whether you want to write your book faster and get that out, and or create a program or a membership or a product or whatever, people overthink it and they get too in their head, and then it slows them down and self-sabotage. So I just don't recommend that. So get some support, learn what you need to learn, and then make a decision and go, is what I would say, because you'll reach more people, make a bigger impact, and hopefully make a lot more money in the process. Is one thing that I would recommend. So move a little faster. The other thing is don't undervalue yourself, because you are worth a lot more than you probably are charging. Most people that I talk to for the first time should be raising their rates. And when I ask them, like, how much are you charging? What are you selling? I mean, I easily see where they could double or triple their rates. So really look at that. because a lot of times people stay with old pricing because they think they're newer and they're not sure about themselves. It's a confidence thing. When you have more confidence, then you can charge more. So there's those two things is the first thing. But yeah, just get it done, you guys. Like seriously. And one book is great, but 2 and 10 or 15, or I have 17 now is better. Trust me. Okay. Just keep doing it.
I loved what you said about don't undervalue yourself. Like I remember when I first started writing books, I think the first book, and I mean, it was a full book, like a full 150-page book. I think I charged $500 to write that book.
Oh.
I did not make money on that project.
As a ghostwriter? Is that
yes.
What? Oh
yes.
my goodness. So no, ghostwriters should be 25 to, I've seen them at 25 to 100,000, know. I don't know what they're charging now, but
the thing was, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just doing it to earn extra money, right? Sure. We had a really expensive year. I managed to get onto a freelancing site, my second job, I charged a lot more. And, every year, actually, I've made significant jumps in what I charge. Now, I think if you're a new entrepreneur, I think you do have to be careful about how much you charge because you just don't have the experience yet.
I don't know. It depends.
I'm not saying undercut.
A lot of times people come into their business with previous experience. Maybe they haven't been paid for what they're doing, and now they're going to get paid for it. That doesn't make you new. That makes you very experienced. So please don't undervalue that. Yes, if you're brand new to what you're doing, you might need to take some trainings in order to really get some people do certification programs or whatever, but I never did a certification program. I had a business degree and a marketing concentration. And then I worked in a lot of different places where I learned a lot of the marketing stuff. But then I've hired many, many mentors. I've probably invested $250,000 in the last 15 years on mentors, masterminds, workshops, and trainings. Yeah. And that's how I learned what I learned. And that's why I can charge the premium. Right.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Like, if you've already got experience and you're taking that experience to start off as an entrepreneur, but I think sometimes, when you're a new entrepreneur and you don't have the experience yet, there's nothing wrong with taking a couple of jobs, at a slightly lower to get the experience, right? So that when you do raise your rates, you are providing the proper amount of service, because there's nothing worse than having someone paid you a whole lot of money and you can't do the job.
True. Yeah. Most people don't have that problem of charging too much when they can't provide.
Yes, I agree. The first time someone told me I should raise my rates, I was nervous. I had to really think about it. Now it's like once or twice a year I raise my rates. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You got to get her before she raises her rates again, you guys.
Well, the other thing too, as your business grows, you have more expenses, different expenses. You might be bringing on staff and different things like that. So there was times I just had to raise my rates because to keep profitable as a business. And I think that's something else to look at too. But, definitely it's a mindset that you have to let go of.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a saying at my events. We just say, stop it.
and if you're listening on the podcast, she just held up this stop sign.
I have a little stop it button too. I would play it, but it's my voice that tells you, stop it. You got this. You're amazing. So yeah.
I think it's just, sometimes, one thing I used to think of, well, if I raise my prices, then there's a lot of people who couldn't afford me. And then I came to the realization that, if I'm charging and there's people paying for that, right, and I'm well in the black and I've got more than enough, then, I can take on those occasional projects where maybe someone really can't afford me.
Yes, you can do that. Or you create something in a group or where you're leveraging your time and teaching people in a way where there's multiple people and you're making less, they're all paying you less, for example. That's why people create group programs and courses, is to do that kind of a training.
Yeah, but it allows me to give options.
Yeah. Yeah, you should. And so when I talk to people about what kind of business models you have in your business, there's like 5 different types of business models, maybe 6. You need your free stuff because people have to come and try you out first.
Mhm.
Most people will not pay for even a $200 thing, much less a $2,000 thing, if they don't know who you are and why they should,
Yeah,
bother.
exactly.
So you have to have the free stuff to try you out. Then you need an easy yes offer. An easy yes offer is something under $200, to where after they've tried you out, watched a video, watched a webinar, or listened to or read your book, right? Then they need the next thing to take them to the next step. Might be a low priced info product or a course or something like that, or a workshop. And then they can experience you more. And then, but then they could go into a $20,000 or $50,000 thing.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if you don't have a $20,000 or $50,000 program, you'll never sell one. So I always encourage people to create high end things, because there's billions of people on the planet and all of us just need a teeny tiny bit. And if you're not getting the people, or if the people you're talking to are saying you're too expensive or whatever, then you just need to talk to more people and go find the people that can work with you, because there's so many people out there. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a misconception that, you can't find the right people who can afford you. It's not hard.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
You're just not either talking to enough. You can't talk to a dozen or a couple dozen people every month. You have to talk to hundreds or thousands of people every month. That's why you need to speak about your topics, and you need to get on podcasts, and you need to be guests on things, and you need to run your own podcast or do your own events or do your own live videos on YouTube or Facebook. You got to get more known and get in front of more people more often and in more ways.
And even having your own book, right?
Yes.
Like whether you have a really powerful chapter in a book or whether you have your own book, though, that's a tool, that's a positioning tool. I teach a lot about authority marketing with my clients. When we're working on their books, I'm teaching them, how are you going to use this book? It's not about selling the book.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can make a little bit of money selling your book, but like you said at the beginning, it's not about becoming an author in that sense where, you've published all these books and you're making the money from selling the books. No, it's about using the book to get your name out there, and if you want very big people or people with a lot of money, you hand them your book and your book is valuable and it's well written.
Yeah. That's the key.
That's a massive credibility tool right there. Right?
Yeah. 10 years when I first wrote my own book, my first book, Love Yourself Successful, my full book, one of the first people that bought it actually read it and then loved it, came to talk to me, and she bought my $14,000 coaching program at the time. I mean, right? Like, that was the first time someone went really big that I could track after reading my book. And it was like, well, there you go, right? First of all, that paid for the book to get done. Second of all, like, it paid for the next one and the next one. And so, but again, if you don't have a $14,000 program, so please, I encourage you, in those business models, you have free, then you have the easy yes, then you might have a signature product, program, or service middle ground of something that you teach. Like for one of my books is my Jumpstart Your New Business Now is one of the books that I wrote, but that was written after I did my 90-day coaching program. So I did a Jumpstart Your Biz in 90-day online group training program, and we transcribed it all one year, and then we cleaned it up and put it into a book form. So literally that's a $4,000 program in a $20 book, right? Yeah. So you can go backwards. Now you can take your book and then create a course from that. So you can go either way. But please create something like that. Yeah. And then of course there's high-end one-on-one. And then if you want a high-end group or some other kind of service that can be high-end too. So those are the kind of business models most entrepreneurs need some form of.
Yeah. And that's where you start to make the bigger money. Like we were just on I don't know if you saw the main stage just before you came on here, but James Malnichuk was speaking. And he was talking about, getting paid to speak, getting paid the $5,000, the $10,000, the $20,000, the $50,000 to speak on stage. And, if you think of it this way, if you're making $10,000 per speech and you sell 10, that's $100,000 in a year. And
Yes,
it's the same.
although paid speaking is not an easy game.
No.
There's 3 different ways you can get paid to speak, though, right? So he was talking about that paid speaking. You can get paid to speak, but then if you're an entrepreneur who has high-end programs and things like that, you can make a lot more money not paying to speak,
Yes.
speaking for free. Or one time I've done this multiple times, but one time I paid a group to come and speak. So it was a pay to play opportunity. I didn't get paid. I had to fly there, get the hotel, and I paid them $3,500, but they put 300 of my ideal clients in the room, this group that I spoke for. And I sold over the course of the 2 or 3 years following, I've sold up to over $100,000 in coaching from that one opportunity. So I spent 5,000 and I've sold 100. So there's just, I don't want to, say there's only one way to speak. Please, there's so many different ways to speak.
Oh, of course.
Right? Yeah.
Of course. But, the concept I was just trying to get at was, when you have that higher end thing,
yes,
right? You don't need to sell a lot of your higher end products and services to be making the money that you need.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one client who did a $25,000 coaching program. He worked with execs. Execs have lots of money. They're making usually 150 to 300 a year, right? So he was going to charge $25,000. Well, he did. I'm just saying he did. So he needed 4 clients to make $100,000 in the year, right? Even if he was all in with them, talking to them all the time, that's not a full-time job. Like that's so yeah.
Yeah. And I think, it's about increasing your network.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is true. Okay. I heard it. I suspect it possibly is true. Okay. But don't quote me on it. But even on social media, if you connect with the right people on social media and you become valuable to them, they're connected to the people you really want to connect with, right? That 6 degrees of separation. So as you build out your network and as you expand your network and you become valuable, to the people in your network, they're going to start introducing you to their network. And over time, you can actually build up so that you're connecting with with your true target market that can afford your products and services. But it doesn't always happen overnight. No. But you can build up that network of people. And when you're valuable, right? When you've provided value, when you're truly networking and developing a relationship, these people will introduce you to the people that they know.
Yeah. And if you position yourself well enough with the book and the nice website and the very nice looking social media profiles, you also are perceived a little bit more of an expert, and therefore you can collaborate more with bigger name people, perhaps, if you position yourself right. Too many people I see don't position themselves well, though. Take the Zoom room, for example. You have books in back of you of things that you've done. I do too, right? So but a lot of people show up in their sweatshirt on their bed or their sofa. It's don't do that. You have to position yourself for every single call you're on. You have to look professional. You have to look as though someone in the audience is going to book you as a speaker or hire you for a high-end thing. And if you're not ready for that, even if you're coming to a call where you're going to learn, like you're here as a student, you still have to show up because you never know where those people are.
True. Actually, one of my newer clients, we're working on a book and it's going to be on, part of it's going to be on creating a virtual community. And he has going to have this whole chapter on different things he'd seen on Zoom, very unprofessional things he has seen. I'm like, oh man, that's going to be a hilarious chapter to write.
Early on in COVID, it was really ugly. People were doing because they just didn't know. I mean, I've been doing Zoom calls for years, but before, when people weren't used to them, it was scary.
So Katrina, we've got a few minutes left. I would love for you to talk about maybe a couple of your books and, how can people get them and get a hold of you?
Well, I have Yeah, I have 2 books of my own. So Love Yourself Successful. I just relaunched this year. It's the 2nd edition, 10 years later. And so I revamped it and updated it. It's a really good book if you want to really understand your value and get more confident about your worth and what you're charging. Also about getting rid of toxic people in your life, though, who are the naysayers, right? So that's a really good book for you if you need more motivation, confidence, and just taking charge of your life and your business. And then there's the Jumpstart Your New Business Now. So if some of these things I'm talking about with regards to running your business are intriguing, or you think that you're kind of fledgling a little bit or struggling, you might want that book, because it's really the practical, tactical things that you need to stay focused on so that you can start bringing in consistent revenue. So those books can both be found at jumpstartbookstore.com. If you go to jumpstartyourbiznow.com, you can go to obviously the trainings page and find the books and other trainings there too. And then a bunch of free stuff over on the resources page. So I'm all about free stuff. There's a whole bunch of trainings there on what to do on your website, how to get started speaking, how to jumpstart your business, and reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out, yeah.
So here's a question. You got a minute or 2 left, but I ask every single author this question that comes on my show. What was the good, the bad, and the ugly about publishing your first book?
Well, the good was I paid a publisher to take care of all the details. So yay. Okay. The bad was that it cost me $6,000, which nowadays isn't that much, but it was a lot to me at the time.
Yeah.
The ugly was not being able to decide on the cover because I was too in it myself. I was in my head. I think I looked at 26 or 30 cover designs, and I hired my own cover designer because I didn't like what they showed me. And of course I wanted to do it my way with my pictures, and the ones that I liked, nobody liked when I surveyed, and they all liked this other one. I'm like, oh God. So I went with what the consensus was, which you always should do.
Smart.
Don't go with what you like, go with what the people like. And then the other ugly part was when the editing came back. When you get your editing back, then I had every single line item in my book had a mark of some sort. And I was so overwhelmed by reviewing those edits that I stuck it away for 3 months and didn't even look at it. And so it prolonged the book again another 3 months because I was hiding my head in the sand, not wanting to look at those details. True story.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Katrina. I have so enjoyed this conversation today. And everyone, don't forget, go check out www.jumpstartyourbusinessnow.com. You can get her books and her free trainings. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please, please, please share it out. Some podcasters actually make you pay for their podcast. I always want to give away things for free. So if you can help me out and share out this podcast episode, I'm going to blow you lots of kisses right now. So this has been Katrina Sawa and Kim Thompson-Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the very next episode. Bye now.